It is amazing the journey we have been on.
My fellow Americans, tonight I am speaking to you because there is a growing humanitarian and security crisis at our southern border.
First, there was the Trump getting the border under control era.
My administration has presented Congress with a detailed proposal to secure the border and stop the criminal gangs, drug smugglers, and human traffickers. It's a tremendous problem.
The idea that he is trying to say that we have people that are trying to invade our country to commit mass crime is a crisis of his own making.
Then we had the Biden promise of freebies era.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. We should not be locking people up. We should immediately have the capacity to absorb them. If you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come.
Joe Biden's policies are open arms to illegal immigration, and the crisis we have at the border right now is like a gathering storm, and the flood is coming.
A group of migrants crossing into the U.S. were spotted wearing "Biden, please let us in" T-shirts.
Do you have a message for U.S. President Joe Biden?
Yeah, I have a message for Joe Biden. We see what he's doing in all over the world. We all appreciate him because he's a very good man, very humble. He's a man of people.
And while the White House refuses to call what is going on a crisis, a leaked memo says border agents are being overwhelmed.
Any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
Right as Biden gets in, they peel back these Trump policies on day one. They offer the freebies. All those people show up with their Biden let me in shirts on. And then they say the border is secure.
I am Alejandro Mayorkas, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security. The United States continues to enforce its immigration laws. The bottom line is that U.S. borders are not open.
You have the lowest deportation rate in the history of the department, right?
Your data that you cite is misleading.
No, it's your data. This is actually what your own agency is reporting. And then when I ask you what the plan is, you say, oh, well, resources, I gotta make finite decisions. I go back to my first question. How many ICE agents to remove the 1.2 million?
So if I can return to data because I want to make sure that you have accurate information.
Everyone knows that you have more people coming in than ever and you're removing fewer people than ever, and it's because you have no plan and because it's on purpose.
Are these people all going to say, I'm here seeking asylum?
Only 35% are claiming asylum.
So what are the rest of them?
The rest of them are just...
What's the permission structure to allow the rest of them to not be detained or removed?
We should ask the president that.
And how many hours will most of these people be released in
48 hours.
48 hours. The 100 plus certainly that you see here will be walking among our fellow Americans.
Americans who are the victims of the crimes for the people that you release in the country are collateral damage that you are willing to accept in order to have our border function as a turnstile. You're willing to accept that collateral damage.
Congressman, I couldn't disagree with you more.
A record 8.6 million migrants have crossed into the U.S. since President Biden took office. The Border Patrol Union telling us Mr. Biden should not have reversed Trump border policies.
They were very effective for us as Border Patrol agents in securing the border.
According to the Office of Homeland Security statistics, there are around 2.46 million encounters by Border Patrol agents in the Southwest in fiscal year 2023. In 2022, there were 2.34 million encounters. In 2021, there were 1.7 million. When former President Trump was in office, encounters averaged around 572,000 each year.
You have to know what they ruined and what they destroyed. They destroyed a system that was working, instituted by President Trump.
All Americans are hurt by uncontrolled, illegal migration.
An NBC News poll shows 57% of Americans say Mr. Trump can best secure the border. Just 22% say Mr. Biden will.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal.
House conservatives repeatedly call for fixes on the border before we fund every other woke and weaponized element of this government.
No more money for this bureaucracy of his government until you've brought this border under control. Shut the border down or shut the government down.
But that's not what happened. We got this.
President Biden on Saturday making a lofty promise to lawmakers if they can get a deal done on immigration.
A bipartisan bill would be good for America and help fix our broken immigration system. If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly.
Remember the Lankford bill? That was the bill that said, well, we're going to do the executive actions to shut down the border, but only after 5,000 people come in each day.
While I have people from around the country and back home that say, do a Republican-only bill, just get all of our priorities and none of them, none of theirs, I smile at them and say, welcome to governance.
As House conservatives, we knew what that governance could look like. It didn't have to look like some compromise with Chuck Schumer.
I read the President of the United States, the law, the black letter law. I said, Mr. President, you have all the tools and the executive authority necessary to reverse the catastrophe that you have created. The Immigration and Nationality Act, for example, coupled with recent Supreme Court precedent, give the president, quote, ample authority to suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens or impose any restrictions he may deem appropriate. The very provision that I just read you was used by the Obama administration more than 19 times, but not by President Biden.
Lo and behold, we get Joe Biden doing the thing he said could not be done, taking executive action on the border and still blaming Republicans.
Republicans have left me no choice. Today, I'm announcing actions to bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum.
New this morning, President Joe Biden is extending Affordable Care Act coverage to include recipients of Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA. In a new federal regulation, the administration is modifying the definition of lawfully present, so DACA residents can get access to certain health care coverage. Health and Human Services estimate that 100,000 uninsured DACA recipients will likely take advantage of this new rule.
They're still giving health care to illegals. They're still setting up sanctuary cities. No sanctuary from my standpoint, more like a hellhole.
So in recent months, a wave of migrant crime has washed over our city.
In this alleged crime spree, the NYPD says 13 men and a woman were behind a lucrative robbery ring that was being driven by moped thefts, then used for violent muggings across the city in recent months, just like this woman who was dragged in Brooklyn. The NYPD has also seen increases in retail and subway thefts, pickpockets, and even human trafficking.
Now to a significant increase in people experiencing homelessness in Chicago. According to the city, a one-night snapshot shows the number of unhoused people has tripled year over year. The city's annual count explains how migrants have played a big role in that growing number. Nearly 19,000 people experienced homelessness on a single night in January, roughly 3 times the number reported in that same analysis in 2023. due in large part to the influx of migrants.
Meanwhile, hotels in Santa Monica and Los Angeles are being accused of hiring migrants to replace striking workers. The LA County District Attorney's Office and the Hotel Workers Union now saying some of the hotels are exploiting the desperation of the migrants by giving them these jobs without paying them fair wages.
What's the consequence? The once great cities of America being overrun. When people in the third world see that illegal aliens are getting free benefits and free health care, they will come here. And I don't even particularly blame them. I blame us. I blame the pull factors that we create.
You know, he talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory.
The obvious answer to these questions is a return to the Trump policies. It could be done immediately, and I think it just may be in January of 2025.
When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country. And that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.